Gura Tamagopyara Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ritidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadane Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paschachadeshatadane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Sidhanta Saraswati Iti Namane Shri Vaishnava Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhuro Jvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatadane Rupanuga Virudhapa Sidhanta Dvanta Hadane Vanchakopa Turubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jaya Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is a Sudha Tirobhav Mahotsava Tithi, or the disappearance day of His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada.
आज श्री तिरुवार दिवस है कृष्ण कृपा मूर्ति श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत श्री ठाकुर प्रभुपाद.
So, does anybody here not know who Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is? Raise your hand if you don't know. It's okay.
आप जैसे यहाँ पे कोई भक्त ऐसे हैं जिनको नहीं पता श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत श्री ठाकुर कौन है?
Is there anyone here who hasn't heard about his life?
या कोई ऐसे भक्त हैं जिन्होंने उनके जीवन के बारे में नहीं सुन रखा?
One or two persons, maybe one.
शायद एक या दो.
She also is heard. Okay. So today I would like to discuss something a little different with you.
आज मैं आपके साथ चर्चा करना चाहूँगा थोड़ी अलग.
In our magazine, which we just printed about Govardhan Hill, we printed an article with some research work that I did for quite some time. Called Govardhan Hill and the Last Days of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. There's a very interesting connection between Govardhan Hill and the last days of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And we'd like to discuss something with that with you. And also something about some of the amazing teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Some of the Chamatkarvani that he spoke regarding Govardhan Hill. And we'd also like to say something about our connection with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. We should understand that these appearance and disappearance days are very good opportunities for us. In his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, he's explained that we should meditate on a particular associate of Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan.
श्रील रूप गोस्वामी भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु में लिखते हैं कि कृष्ण के जो परिकर हैं, किसी एक परिकर को चुनकर उन पर हमें मनन करना चाहिए.
Seva sadaka rupaina, siddha rupaina chatuhi tadbhava lipsuna karya braja lokanasarata. We, in our sadhak form, we should meditate on that particular devotee and we should render service to them.
जो साधक अवस्था में हमें एक जो शुद्ध भक्त उन पर मनन करना चाहिए और उनकी सेवा करनी चाहिए.
But this is a very, very high thing.
परंतु ये बहुत ही ऊंची चीज है.
And how do I have qualification for that?
मेरे में ये योग्यता कैसे हो?
So it was His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, who gave us a way to meditate on that.
तो श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत स्वामी ठाकुर ने हमें एक विधि दी थी कि किस प्रकार से हम उन पर चिंतन कर सकते हैं, मनन कर सकते हैं ऐसे परिकरों पर.
He wrote a particular Vaishnava Panji or particular Gaudiya Vaishnava calendar.
दोनों ने एक विशेष वैष्णव कुंजी निर्मित की थी.
And on that calendar he included the appearance and disappearance days of many of our acharyas.
तो जो उन्होंने वैष्णव कैलेंडर निर्मित किया उसमें उन्होंने बहुत सारे आचार्यों के आविर्भाव और तिरुभाव दिवस सम्मिलित.
This is the calendar that we follow today.
और ये वही कैलेंडर है जो हम आज भी फॉलो करते हैं.
And this calendar had many appearance days and disappearance days of personalities that weren't generally followed amongst other Gaudiya Vaishnavas.
ऐसे कैलेंडर्स में बहुत विशेष विशेष आचार्य के आविर्भाव तिरुभाव दिवस हैं जो अन्य गौड़ीय वैष्णव इसको नहीं मनाते.
We don't have qualification perhaps to meditate on the eternal associates of Radha and Krishna in Braj.
हो सकता है हमारे पास शायद ये योग्यता नहीं है कि राधा कृष्ण के जो नित्य परिकर हैं हम उन पर ध्यान लगाएं.
But we meditate on Seva Sadhaka Rupena, on their Sadhaka Rup, on their form they've manifested in this material world.
परंतु हम उनके साधक रूप पर ध्यान लगाते हैं, उनकी ऐसे रूप जो उन्होंने इस भौतिक जगत में प्रकट किए.
One devotee once came to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati
एक भक्त एक बार श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर के पास आया.
and he said, Guru Maharaj, I had a dream.
गुरु महाराज मुझे एक स्वप्न आया.
And in the dream I heard what your Manjari Swarup is, what your eternal form is in the spiritual world.
और उस स्वप्न में मैंने सुना कि आपका जो मंत्री स्वरूप है वो क्या है आध्यात्मिक जगत में.
And I just want to check with you, is this correct?
और मैं आपके साथ ये चेक करना चाहता हूँ क्या ये सही है.
He said, in the dream, I had this dream that you were Nayana Mani Manjari.
मैंने स्वप्न देखा कि आप नयना मणि मंजरी हैं.
And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta didn't say anything, he just smiled.
श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर ने कुछ उत्तर नहीं दिया, सिर्फ मुस्कुराए.
And from that time, the devotees could understand this is his spirit, his form in the spiritual world.
और उस समय के बाद भक्तगण ये समझ गए थे कि उनका जो शाश्वत स्वरूप है आध्यात्मिक जगत में वो ये है.
And in his birthplace in Jagannath Puri,
और उनका जो जन्म स्थान है जगन्नाथपुरी में,
the deities there are named Sri Sri Radha Nayana Mani.
वहाँ जो विग्रह है उनका नाम है श्री श्री राधा नयन
Nayana Mani, because they're always getting some pleasure looking at Nayana Mani Manjari.
क्योंकि उनको हमेशा आनंद का अनुभव होता है नयन मणि मंजरी की तरफ देख के.
So again, we don't have qualification for this thing.
तो फिर से हमारे पास ये योग्यता नहीं है इस चीज के लिए.
But we meditate on their sadhak roop.
परंतु हम उनके साधक रूप पर चिंतन करते हैं.
We may not meditate on Rupa Manjari,
हम रूप मंजरी पर ध्यान नहीं लगाते,
but we meditate on Srila Rupa Goswami,
परंतु हम श्रील रूप गोस्वामी पर ध्यान लगाते हैं,
who is the sadhak form, the sadhak group of Rupa Manjari.
जो साधक रूप है रूप मंजरी का.
And on these appearance days and disappearance days, by thinking about them, in this way we're entering into Gaura Leela, we're entering into Krishna Leela.
और आविर्भाव दिवस तिरुभाव दिवस में हम उन पर इस प्रकार ध्यान लगाकर हम गौर लीला और कृष्ण लीला में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं.
And we should understand these personalities are present for us.
और हमें ये समझना चाहिए कि ये जो व्यक्ति हैं व्यक्तित्व हैं हमारे लिए उपस्थित हैं.
But how is it that they're present?
परंतु किस तरह से
We sing this song, Jala Nila Prema Dana.
हमने अभी ये भजन गाया जया नीलो प्रेम धन
And we pray that we cry and cry that may I have association with such personalities.
और हम प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं क्रंदन कर रहे हैं बार-बार कि हमें इन व्यक्तित्व का संग प्राप्त हो.
Is there anyone here who would be interested if I told you you could have association with Srila Prabhupada? Anybody would like that? Raise your hand.
जो रुचि रखेंगे अगर मैं आपको बताऊं कि आप श्रील प्रभुपाद का संग प्राप्त कर सकते हैं.
We can associate with him in his books.
तो हम उनकी पुस्तकों के साथ उनका संग कर सकते हैं.
That's nice.
ये बहुत अच्छा है.
I was appreciating Vishaka Mataji's new book I was just reading.
मैं हरकृष्ण विशाखा माता जी की जो नई पुस्तक है उसकी सराहना कर रहा था.
And Srila Prabhupada told her and the other devotees, you can always associate with me in my books.
श्रील प्रभुपाद ने उनको और अन्य भक्तों को कहा कि आप मेरे साथ सदैव संग कर सकते हैं पुस्तकों के माध्यम से.
And she wrote in the book that was her experience. She could directly associate with Prabhupada in that way.
और उन्होंने पुस्तक में अपना अनुभव लिखा कि मैं श्रील प्रभुपाद के साथ सदैव संग करती हूँ पुस्तकों.
She said, but I would rather associate with you directly.
उनके साथ व्यक्तिगत रूप से मैं उनका संग करना चाहूँगी.
So we learn from our acharyas such as Srinivasa Acharya,
तो हम अपने आचार्य से सीखते हैं जैसे श्रीनिवास आचार्य
who at a young age with great excitement was going to Jagannath Puri to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
तो जो बहुत ही अल्प आयु में बहुत ही भाव विभोर होकर जगन्नाथपुरी जा रहे थे श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु से मिलने.
His whole life he'd heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
पूरा जीवन उन्होंने श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु के बारे में.
His father was a great devotee of Mahaprabhu.
उन्होंने उनके महान भक्तों के दर्शन किए.
And they used to sit and speak about the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, and then they would start crying and rolling on the ground. It was a very good family life.
तो आपस में वो बैठकर चर्चा करते थे महाप्रभु के बारे में और भाव विभोर होकर क्रंदन करते थे, जमीन पे लौटते थे. बहुत ही अच्छा उनका गृहस्थ जीवन था.
So he was so excited to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
और वो इतने ज़्यादा excited थे महाप्रभु से मिलने के लिए, देखने के लिए, उनके दर्शन प्राप्त करने.
And as he was going to Jagannath Puri in such an excited way, I'm going to see Mahaprabhu.
और जिस प्रकार से जगन्नाथपुरी जा रहे थे इसी आशा के साथ
He saw some people coming from the other direction.
तो उन्होंने देखा दूसरी तरफ से कुछ लोग आ रहे हैं.
And he saw something was very terrible, something terrible had happened.
और उन्होंने देखा कि कुछ बहुत ही भयानक घटना घटी है.
The people were crying and crying.
जो लोग हैं बार-बार रो रहे हैं.
And Srinivasa Acharya has a very soft heart. He said, what happened? Is everything okay?
और श्रीनिवास आचार्य का हृदय इतना कोमल था. उन्होंने पूछा क्या हुआ, क्या सब ठीक है?
The people couldn't even speak.
तो जो लोग थे वो कुछ बोल भी नहीं पा रहे थे.
He said, you haven't heard the news?
तो उन्होंने कहा कि आपको ये खबर नहीं मिली?
Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu left this world.
श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु अप्रकट हो चुके हैं.
And Srinivasa Acharya fell to the ground unconscious.
श्रीनिवास आचार्य उसी समय बेहोश होकर गिर पड़े.
He wanted to commit suicide.
वो आत्महत्या करना चाहते थे.
And he sat there, he decided, I'm going to fast until death.
और वो वहीं पर बैठ गए और ये संकल्प किया कि जब तक मृत्यु नहीं आ जाती तब तक मैं उपवास रखूंगा.
And that evening, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to him in a dream.
और संध्या के समय श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु उनके स्वप्न में आए.
And he told him that you go to Jagannath Puri.
और उन्होंने उनको बताया कि आप जाइए जगन्नाथपुरी.
Gadadhar Pandit is waiting for you.
गदाधर पंडित आपकी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं.
I told him to instruct you.
मैंने उनको निर्देश दिया है आपको निर्देश देने के लिए.
So I remember I joined the Los Angeles Temple. Maharaj was there in 1982.
तो मुझे ये स्मरण है कि मैं 1982 में लॉस एंजलिस मंदिर मैंने ज्वाइन किया था.
Just a little over 4 years after Srila Prabhupada had left. And we were going to Srila Prabhupada's room, his quarters, which are still there today. And they would take us on walks in the morning at Cheviot Hills Park where Prabhupada walked. And we'd go to Venice Beach where Prabhupada walked. And we'd hear from so many senior devotees about Srila Prabhupada. Devotees like Makanlal Prabhu and Brahmananda and many senior devotees. And I was thinking, what an unfortunate person I am. I didn't get to meet Srila Prabhupada. So the same thing also, Narottam Das Thakur went through the same thing. He also wanted to go to Puri to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he also got news that Mahaprabhu had left. So what did Narottam Das Thakur do? He went to Navadvip and he went to all the different places of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And he found all the associates of Mahaprabhu who were still present on the planet. And he invited them all to come to Kuturi Gram. And they had a great festival there for the appearance of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He realized, I can't directly see Mahaprabhu, but I can see him in another way. I can see him through his devotees. And so this is also how we meet with Srila Prabhupada. And also how we meet with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and other Acharyas. By associating with devotees who've served them, who have love for them. We may not be able to personally meet them, but we can meet them through their associates, through their devotees. There was one devotee, I think it was Kartikeya Prabhu, who was serving Srila Prabhupada, and he wanted to make some very special halava for Srila Prabhupada. So he went to the store and he found some, in America, I don't know what you call it here, but in America they call it wheat germ. And he thought, oh, this will make very special halava for Srila Prabhupada from this. So one day it was very cold, and Prabhupada asked Kartikeya, you please make some halava for me. So Kartikeya was very excited, he got that wheat germ. Krishna Kun, what would you call wheat germ? It's like, what's that word in Oriya? Dahlia? It's a little like dahlia. You know dahlia? So with great devotion and great attention, Kartikeya Prabhu very carefully was making this halava for Srila Prabhupada. The whole time he was cooking it, he was thinking of Srila Prabhupada. So much devotion. And he brought it in a nice big bowl, steaming hot. And he put it before Srila Prabhupada, thinking Prabhupada's going to like this so much. Prabhupada looked at it, he said, what is this? He said, we make halava from suji, not from dahlia. And Prabhupada said, bah! He pushed it away, he wouldn't take it. And Kartikeya was crushed. He ran out of the room, he was crying. He didn't know what to do. So he went to the temple room. And he sat down in front of a picture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he was crying.
और क्रंदन कर रहे थे
And he was praying to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta,
और उनसे प्रार्थना कर रहे थे श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत
"You're my grandfather.
कि आप मेरे दादा हैं
I just want to serve your disciple,
कि मैं आपके शिष्य की सेवा करना चाहता हूँ
but I've done some big offense,
परंतु मैंने कोई महान अपराध किया
and now he's rejecting me.
और अब वो मेरी अवहेलना कर रहे हैं
Please help me."
कृपया मेरी सहायता कीजिए
And then all of a sudden, some devotee came running into the temple.
तो उसी समय एक भक्त मंदिर कक्ष में भागते हुए आए
He said, "Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada's calling for you."
कि प्रभु जी श्रील प्रभुपाद बुला रहे हैं आपको
And he came into the room and Srila Prabhupada said, "It was very good halava. I want some more."
तो श्रील प्रभुपाद ने जैसे कमरे ने कहा कि हलवा बहुत अच्छा था मुझे और चाहिए
So Kartikeya Prabhu, then he had this realization that I can pray to my Param Gurudev.
तो कार्तिकेय प्रभु को इस साक्षात्कार हुआ कि मैं प्रार्थना कर सकता हूँ अपने परम गुरुदेव से
And he'll answer my prayers.
और वो उत्तर देंगे मेरी प्रार्थनाओं का
He'll help me.
मेरी सहायता करेंगे
So on this day, I wanted to speak something about the last 4 months of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's presence in this world.
तो इस दिवस पर मैं चर्चा करना चाहूँगा श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर के जीवन के आखिरी अंतिम 4 मास
In September of late August, of 1936, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he came to Braj.
तो अगस्त 1936 वो ब्रज में आए
And he inaugurated what would be the last project that he had.
और उन्होंने जो आखिरी जो उनका प्रोजेक्ट था उसका इनॉग्रेट उद्घाटन किया
It was some property at Govardhan Hill.
गोवर्धन पर्वत के पास उनका जो जमीन था
We found this out from one Bengali edition of Sajjana Toshini.
तो जो बंगाली एडिशन है सज्जन तोषनी का मुझे ये सूचना वहाँ से प्राप्त हुई
And there was no mention in that magazine, but we don't know where that property is today or what happened to it.
तो ये नहीं लिखा कि वो जो जमीन है कहाँ पर है या आज के समय में उसके साथ क्या हुआ
But in any case, in late August, he was worshipping Govardhan Hill.
परंतु अगस्त के अंतिम दिनों में
Then on the 24th of October, he sent his disciple, Bhakti Saranga Prabhu, to go to England to preach.
24 अक्टूबर को उन्होंने अपने शिष्य भक्ति सारंग प्रभु को इंग्लैंड में भेजा प्रचार के लिए
And I thought it was very significant. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave him 3 things to bless his preaching expedition.
ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण था क्योंकि श्रील भक्तिवेदांत ठाकुर ने उनको 3 चीजें दी थी अपने आशीर्वाद के रूप में उनके प्रचार कार्य के लिए
Sometimes devotees, they wonder if Dwarka Shilas are bona fide.
कभी-कभार भक्तों को ये संशय रहता है कि जो द्वारका शिला है ये प्रमाणिक है या नहीं
He gave him a Dwarka Shila.
तो उन्होंने उनको द्वारका शिला दी
He gave him a Shalagram Shila.
उनको शालिग्राम शिला दी
And he gave him a Govardhan Shila.
और उनको गोवर्धन शिला दी
Sometimes also people, they say, if you worship Govardhan Shila, you shouldn't take it outside of Braj.
तो कभी-कभार भक्त ये भी कहते हैं कि अगर आप गोवर्धन शिला की आराधना करते हैं उनको ब्रज के बाहर नहीं ले जा सकते
But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he sent a Govardhan Shila to England.
परंतु श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर ने गोवर्धन शिला को इंग्लैंड भेजा
And with confidence, we can say that one of the reasons why he did that was because when Bhakti Saranga Prabhu, that devotee, was going to preach, where he's preaching, that's not England, that's Vrindavan.
तो भक्ति सारंग प्रभु या पूरे विश्वास के साथ कह सकते हैं कि जब वो जा रहे थे प्रचार के लिए तो जिस क्षेत्र में प्रचार कर रहे थे वो इंग्लैंड नहीं वो फिर ब्रज था
So that was from Kolkata.
तो ये कोलकाता
The very next day, the 25th of October, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he left Kolkata to go to Jagannath Puri.
तो ये शिला उन्होंने उनको कोलकाता में दी थी तो अगले ही दिन वो कोलकाता छोड़कर जगन्नाथ पुरी गए
And he stayed at the Purushottam Mutt at Chatak Parvat.
तो पुरुषोत्तम मठ चतक पर्वत पर है वहां पर उन्होंने निवास
Although today there are many Gaudiya Mutt temples in Jagannath Puri, there's only one temple that was directly established by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
हालांकि कि आज के दिन में बहुत सारे गौड़िया मंदिर हैं जगन्नाथपुरी में, लेकिन एक ही मंदिर है जो पुरी में, जो भक्तिसिद्धांत श्री ठाकुर ने खुद जिनका उद्घाटन किया था, स्थापना की थी.
And that was the Purushottam Mutt.
और वो है पुरुषोत्तम मठ.
Srila Prabhupada visited there in 1977 with some of his disciples, and they did kirtan.
श्रीला प्रभुपाद 1977 में अपने कई शिष्यों के साथ इस मठ में गए थे, वहाँ कीर्तन किया था.
And I also had the good fortune to hear from some disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati who had been there, and they told us that the one grihastha whose name was Abhay Charanaravinda used to come often to Jagannath Puri and spent time there with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
तो प्रभु जी के हमें सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ था ऐसे भक्तिसिद्धांत जी के कुछ शिष्य से सुनने का, तो उन्होंने हमें बताया था कि एक गृहस्थ थे जिनका अभय चरण, तो वो अक्सर जगन्नाथपुरी आते थे और भक्तिसिद्धांत जी से मुलाकात करते थे.
So a few days after he arrived there in Jagannath Puri, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he instructed the devotees that we want to have a very grand Govardhan Puja Anukut festival.
तो कुछ ही दिन हुए थे हमको उस मठ में आए हुए, तो उन्होंने अपने शिष्यों को निर्देश दिया, हम बहुत ही विशाल अन्नकूट जो है उस उत्सव मनाना चाहते हैं.
And the devotees, they decorated the entire temple and all their property there.
तो भक्तों ने पूरे मंदिर और जितना भी भूमि था वहाँ पर सबको बहुत सुंदर तरीके से.
Raise your hand. Have any of you here been to the Purushottam Mutt in Jagannath Puri? It's not far from Tota Gopinath Temple. Raise your hand if you have.
तो पुरुषोत्तम मठ आप में से कोई भक्त गए हैं जो टोटा गोपीनाथ मंदिर के बिल्कुल सामने ही है?
They say that they offered so much boga to Giriraj at that Anukut festival.
तो वो कहते हैं कि अन्नकूट उत्सव में उन्होंने इतना भोग अर्पित किया था
that the offerings filled the area from the street all the way to the top of Chatak Parvat Hill.
कि जो वहाँ गली है और चटक पर्वत का जो ऊपर टॉप है वो पूरा का पूरा जगह भर गया था.
And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, prior to that, a year before, he instructed the devotees to make a bhajan kutir for him on top of the hill.
एक वर्ष पूर्व श्रीला भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर जी ने अपने शिष्यों को यह निर्देश दिया था कि उनके लिए भजन कुटीर का निर्माण करें उस पर्वत के ऊपर चोटी पर.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he stayed for 46 days at Chatak Parvat.
तो वो 46 दिन तक चटक पर्वत पर रहे थे.
As I mentioned, he arrived there on about the 26th of October.
जैसे मैंने बताया 26 अक्टूबर को वहाँ पर आए थे.
And on around the 9th or 10th of December, he manifested some pastime of being sick.
9 या 10 दिसंबर तक उन्होंने जो बीमार थे उस लीला को प्रकट किया.
And he was staying there on top of the hill. And when he arrived in Puri, he started telling the devotees over and over again the same thing.
तो वो उस पर्वत की चोटी पर रहे और जैसे ही भक्त वहाँ आते थे तो उन्होंने बार-बार उनको बताया.
He said, we won't live in this world very long.
कि इस भौतिक जगत में मैं ज़्यादा लंबे समय तक नहीं रहूँगा.
He said, if we can die while continuously doing Hare Kirtan, then our birth will be successful.
अगर हम मृत्यु को प्राप्त होते हैं लगातार हरि कीर्तन करते हुए तो ये हमारे जन्म की सार्थकता सफलता होगी.
His health was very good. The devotees couldn't understand.
उनका स्वास्थ्य बहुत अच्छा था. भक्तगण उनकी इस बात को समझ नहीं पाते थे.
And he told them, we've not come here to this world to be construction workers.
उन्होंने उनको बताया कि हम इस विश्व में एक कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर बनने के लिए नहीं आए.
To just build temples.
तो इसलिए सिर्फ मंदिरों का निर्माण करें.
He said, but our purpose is to distribute the message of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
परंतु हमारा जो असली उद्देश्य है श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु के संदेश का वितरण करना है.
At Radha Kund, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, better that we break the temple.
राधा कुंड पर श्रीला भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर ने कहा था कि बेहतर होगा कि हम मंदिरों को तोड़ दें.
And sell all the marble from the Bagbazar temple.
तो जितना मार्बल है बाग बाजार मंदिर में सबको बेच दें.
He said the devotees are just quarreling.
कि भक्तगण आपस में सिर्फ लड़ाई कर रहे हैं।
And you take that money, he said, and print books
उस धन से पुस्तकें प्रकाशित करें
and distribute those books.
और उन पुस्तकों का वितरण करें।
And therefore, our Srila Prabhupada, he took that instruction very, very seriously.
और इसलिए जो हमारे श्रील प्रभुपाद ने उन्होंने इस निर्देश को
Vedanta Book Trust is something separate, a separate legal entity from ISKCON.
और इसलिए भक्ति वेदांता बुक ट्रस्ट की स्थापना की ISKCON से बिल्कुल अलग लीगल एंटिटी।
And he said that even if all of our temples close, it's okay.
और उन्होंने कहा कि अगर हमारे सारे मंदिर बंद हो जाएं, कोई बात नहीं,
As long as these books go on.
जब तक ये पुस्तक वितरण होता है।
So important was book distribution for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura.
महत्वपूर्ण था श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर के लिए पुस्तक वितरण।
So around the 9th or 10th of December, as I mentioned, he manifested a pastime of being sick.
तो जैसे मैंने बताया 9 और 10 दिसंबर तक उन्होंने ये अपनी इस लीला को प्रकट किया कि वो बहुत बीमार हैं।
And he was staying there in that cottage on top of Chatak Parvat.
तो वो जो कमरा था चटक पर्वत की चोटी पर, वहाँ पर वो निवास करते
Chatak
थे।
Parvat is the hill that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw as Govardhan.
चटक पर्वत ये वही पर्वत है जिसको महाप्रभु ने गोवर्धन पर्वत के रूप में देखा था।
And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, this place is Govardhan.
और श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर ने कहा कि ये स्थान गोवर्धन है।
So when he manifested this sickness, he instructed the devotees that they should start reciting particular prayers.
और जब वो बीमार थे, इस लीला को दर्शा रहे थे, तो उन्होंने अपने शिष्यों को निर्देश दिया कि एक बहुत ही विशेष प्रार्थना उच्चारण करने के लिए।
This was the Govardhan Basa Prarthana Dastakam by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami.
तो ये रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी द्वारा लिखी गई गोवर्धन वास दशक।
Nirupadi Karunena Shri Satchinandanena Tvai Kapati Satopi Tvat Priyan Arpitosmi Iti Kalumama Yogya Yogya Tamam Agrinan Nija Nikata Nibasam Dehi Govardhanatvam. Do you know this line? Nija Nikata Nibasam Dehi Govardhanatvam. Nirupadi Karunena Shri Satchinandanena. He prayed that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, whose karuna, whose mercy is Nirupadika karuna, it has no designations.
उन्होंने बताया कि श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु जिनकी करुणा का कोई भी डेजिग्नेशन नहीं है।
He didn't consider, oh, this is a rich person, I'll give a book to him.
उन्होंने कोई भेदभाव नहीं किया कि ये धनी व्यक्ति हैं, इनको मैं पुस्तक दूंगा।
This is a very, very poor person, I won't give them
ये
anything.
तो बहुत गरीब है, इसको मैं पुस्तक नहीं दूंगा।
But his mercy was Nirupadika, we had no designation, he was giving to everyone.
उनकी करुणा निरुपाधिका थी, कोई भेदभाव नहीं, सबको कृपा बांट रहे थे।
He said, Tvai kapati satopi, tvat priyanar pitosmi, even though I'm a satopi, and I'm a kapati, I'm a criminal and a cheater.
उन्होंने कहा कि हालांकि मैं अपराधी हूँ या धोखेबाज हूँ।
Iti kalu mama yogya yogyatam mamagrinan. Don't consider my yogyata or my ayogyata, is it in Hindi also? Don't consider my qualification or disqualification. But nija nikata nibasam dehi govardhanatvam. Please give me residence near you. This was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's meditation just before he left this world. When I think of that place, that Purushottam Mat, I think about it as both the beginning and the end.
जब मैं पुरुषोत्तम मठ के बारे में सोचता हूँ तो उसकी शुरुआत और अंत दोनों के विषय में देखता हूँ।
I can maybe pass this magazine around. You can see inside, here's the bed of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then on the next page you can see his kutir on top of the hill. So it's on page 85 and 86. You can pass out a few copies. Please give me these back.
Page 85 और 86 पे है तो देखने के बाद ही वैक्सीन लौटा दें।
So We have this concept in Greek literature, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
तो जो ग्रीक साहित्य है उसमें ये कॉन्सेप्ट आता है कि शुरुआत और अंत, beginning and end.
The same concept is found in the Bhagavad-gita in chapter 10, text 20.
तो भगवद गीता के 10वें अध्याय के 20वें श्लोक में भी यही चीज दिखती है.
Krishna says, Aham adischa madhyam cha bhutanam anta eva cha. He said that I'm the beginning, the middle, and the end.
भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं कि मैं शुरुआत हूँ, मध्य हूँ, अंत हूँ.
So when I think of this place, Chatak Parvat, and Srila Bhakti Sidhanta there, I think that this place is a beginning and the end for us.
तो जब मैं इस चटक पर्वत के बारे में स्मरण करता हूँ जहाँ पर भक्ति सिद्धांत सूत्री ठाकुर ने निवास किया, तो यही स्थान हमारी शुरुआत भी है और यही गंतव्य अंत भी है.
It was at Chatak Parvat that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati spent his last days.
तो चटक पर्वत में श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सूत्री ठाकुर ने अपने अंतिम दिन निवास किया.
He was there for 46 days.
वहाँ पर 46 दिन तक थे.
And then he went to Kolkata.
तब वो कोलकाता गए.
And he was there for a week or so before he left this world.
तो वहाँ पर लगभग एक हफ्ते तक थे ये अप्रकट होने से पूर्व.
So his last meditation, his last desire was Nija Nikata Nubasam Dehi Govardhana Tamo Giriraj, please grant me residence near you.
तो उनका जो अंतिम इच्छा थी वो यही थी कि हे गोवर्धन कृपया अपने निकट मुझे निवास प्रदान करें.
And I find it significant that this is also the last prayer of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami.
और ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण चीज है क्योंकि यही अंतिम प्रार्थना थी श्रीला रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी
who composed these prayers.
अपनी प्रार्थनाओं में.
And it's also the last desire of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada,
श्रीला प्रभुपाद की अंतिम इच्छा भी यही थी.
who when he was staying in Vrindavan, he requested the devotees, he said, you please take me on Govardhan Parikrama.
जब वो वृंदावन में रह रहे थे उन्होंने अपने भक्तों से ये निवेदन किया कि कृपया मुझे गोवर्धन परिक्रमा करा दीजिए.
He was too sick, he couldn't walk.
वो बहुत बीमार थे, चल नहीं सकते थे.
So he asked the devotees, you take me in a bullock cart.
तो उन्होंने भक्तों से कहा कि मुझे बैलगाड़ी में ले चलिए.
But the doctor, he told the devotees, if you take him on a cart going around Govardhan Hill, his body is so weak, he's definitely going to leave his body.
तो वहाँ डॉक्टर ने उनको चेतावनी दी कि अगर आप इन्हें बैलगाड़ी में बिठा कर ले जाएंगे तो इनका शरीर इतना कमजोर है निश्चित रूप से अप्रकट हो जाएगा.
So there was some disagreement amongst the devotees at that time. A few devotees said, well, Prabhupada said this, we have to follow his instruction. And some other devotees said, no, we can't do this. Finally they asked Srila Prabhupada, they said, please, we don't want to take you like this because we're afraid you'll leave this world.
तो अंतिम में उन्होंने प्रभुपाद से कहा कि कृपया हम आपको वहाँ नहीं लेके जाना चाहते क्योंकि यहाँ पे भय है.
So Prabhupada agreed not to go.
तो श्रीला प्रभुपाद सहमत हुए नहीं.
But then after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, the devotees carried his deity around Govardhan Hill.
और श्रीला प्रभुपाद के तिरुभाव होने के बाद श्रीला प्रभुपाद के जो विग्रह है उनको उन्होंने परिक्रमा कराई गोवर्धन.
So it was a desire of all these great acharyas to be by Giriraj when they leave this world.
तो इन सभी महान आचार्यों की इच्छा है गोवर्धन पर्वत के निकट आने की जब वो अपना शरीर छोड़ रहे हों.
And I like to think of this Chatak Parvat as the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
तो चटक पर्वत के बारे में मैं इस प्रकार स्मरण करना पसंद करता हूँ.
How is that?
इस प्रकार से
During his last visit there to Chatak Parvat, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he was having some correspondence.
तो जब आखिरी बार वो श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सूत्री ठाकुर चटक पर्वत गए तो वार्तालाप कर रहे थे.
And there was one Grihastha devotee, disciple of his, who wrote him some letter.
तो एक गृहस्थ भक्त ने उनको एक पत्र लिखा था.
And that Grihastha devotee, he wrote to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta.
तो वो गृहस्थ भक्त ने भक्ति सिद्धांत को लिखा.
He said, Guru Maharaj, you have so many brahmacharya and sannyasi disciples.
गुरु महाराज आपके इतने सारे ब्रह्मचारी और सन्यासी शिष्य हैं.
I'm just a grihastha.
मैं एक गृहस्थ हूँ.
I can't do service for you.
मैं आपकी सेवा नहीं कर पाता.
What can I do?
मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ?
Please give me some instruction.
कृपया मुझे कुछ निर्देश दीजिए.
So that exchange was described by our Srila Prabhupada.
तो ये जो वार्तालाप हुआ है ये हमारे श्रील प्रभुपाद के द्वारा इसका वर्णन आता है
He was that grihastha devotee.
क्योंकि यही वो गृहस्थ भक्त थे
And he asked him, how can I serve you?
और उन्होंने उनसे पूछा कि मैं आपकी सेवा कैसे कर सकता हूँ
Srila Prabhupada described this in a lecture in Los Angeles in December of 1968 on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's disappearance day.
तो दिसंबर 1968 लॉस एंजलिस में लेक्चर देते हुए इसी दिवस पर पाकिस्तान तिरुभा दिवस पर
So Prabhupada said, I wrote him, I'm a householder. I can't live with you. I can't serve you nicely. How can I serve you?
प्रभुपाद ने बताया कि गृहस्थ के रूप में मैंने उन्हें लिखा कि मैं आपके साथ रह नहीं सकता मैं आपकी सेवा नहीं कर पाता मैं क्या करूं
And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he said his reply was dated the 13th of December, 1936.
और उन्होंने कहा कि उनका जो रिप्लाई था का उत्तर आया तो 13 दिसंबर 1936
And in that letter, it's a very, very important letter from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, which I always remember when we go to that Chatak Parvat Govardhan. Prabhupada said in that letter he wrote, I'm very glad to receive your letter. And he gave some instruction to our Srila Prabhupada. I think you should try to push our movement in English. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said something very amazing. He predicted all of you. He predicted all the devotees in this movement. Were any of you born before 1936? But he was talking about you. He told Srila Prabhupada, he said that you should try to push our movement in English. And in that letter he told Prabhupada, that will do good for you and it will do good to the people who will help you. Well, that's all of us. Right? And you're all trying to help Srila Prabhupada to push on this movement. And by helping to push on this movement, you're doing good for Srila Prabhupada. And you're doing good for yourself. Srila Prabhupada said that was his last instruction. Then on the 31st of December 1936, he said just a fortnight after writing this letter, he passed away. So that place is our beginning. And that place is also the end. It's the end of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's manifest pastimes. It's the beginning of our movement. It's the place where he gave this instruction to Srila Prabhupada to preach. And in another sense, it's also the end of our movement. When our Srila Prabhupada was getting ready to leave this world, he instructed that all the devotees should come from all over the world to spend some time with him. At that time, the devotees in Bhubaneswar, they heard this instruction. That Bhubaneswar temple was the last founded project of our Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he put two persons in charge there.
पर नियुक्त किया।
one Angrez Bhakta, Bhagavat Prabhu,
भागवत प्रभु अंग्रेज भक्त थे,
and one Deshi devotee, Gaur Govinda Maharaj.
और एक देशी भक्त गौर गोविंद महाराज।
So Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he came to Vrindavan to see our Srila Prabhupada.
गौर गोविंद महाराज वृंदावन आए श्रीला प्रभुपाद से मुलाकात करने।
And he took with him some sacred water from a place, a well in Bhubaneswar called Shankarvapi.
तो शंकर वापी वहाँ पर एक बहुत ही पवित्र कुआं है, उसका जल वो साथ लेके गए।
Some very sacred water which is said to be very good for health.
उस कुएं का जल बहुत अच्छा माना जाता है स्वास्थ्य के लिए।
And he took Srila Prabhupada some Jagannath Mahaprasad.
और कुछ जगन्नाथ महाप्रसाद।
And he stayed in Vrindavan for a few days.
वृंदावन में कुछ दिनों के
Then he went back to Bhubaneswar
वापस भुवनेश्वर आए
so that Bhagavat could come.
कि जिससे भागवत आ सके।
And it was a day or two after Bhagavat had arrived in Vrindavan that Srila Prabhupada left this world.
और भागवत प्रभु के वहाँ आने के एक या दो दिन बाद ही श्रीला प्रभुपाद प्रकट हो गए।
So he phoned the devotees in Bhubaneswar to tell them the very sad news.
भागवत प्रभु ने फोन किया भुवनेश्वर में इस दुखद समाचार लेने के लिए।
And he quickly returned to Bhubaneswar.
और वो तुरंत भुवनेश्वर वापस।
And then the devotees in ISKCON Bhubaneswar, they decided we have to have a very special festival for Srila Prabhupada's disappearance.
ISKCON भुवनेश्वर में भक्तों ने ये तय किया कुछ हमें विशेष उत्सव आयोजित करना है श्रीला प्रभुपाद के।
And where did they do that? They went to the Purushottam Mutt, Chatak Parvat in Jagannath Puri. And they invited all the different Gaudiya Mutt devotees from all over Puri. And they had kirtan and remembrances of Srila Prabhupada. And they distributed prasadam to all the devotees. So in that sense, this place is like the end for us. In these different ways, it's the beginning and the end for us. On this auspicious day, I'd like to read to you a few of the final instructions of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. These were printed in a very nice magazine. The first edition of a magazine called Back to Godhead. And they were translated from Bengali by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he printed them in the first volume, part 1 of Back to Godhead. So these are some of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's last words. He said, I've most probably given many people troubles in the mind. Some of them might have thought that I'm their enemy. Because I was obliged to speak the plain truth for service and devotion toward the absolute Godhead. I've given them all those troubles only for the reason that they may turn their face toward the personality of Godhead. Without any desire for gain and with unalloyed devotion. I hope someday or other they may understand me rightly. He said, I advise all of you to preach the teachings of Rupa Raghunath. With all energy and resources. Our ultimate goal should be to become the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Sri Rupa and Raghunath Goswamis. We wish that this mass of our body of flesh and blood may be sacrificed at the altar of preaching the Sankirtan movement propagated by Lord Chaitanya.
को हम पूरी तरह से जो संकीर्तन यज्ञ का जो कुंड है उसमें इसको आहुति के रूप में प्रदान कर दें।
We're not desirous of becoming a great hero
हमारी इच्छा नहीं है कि कोई बहुत महान हीरो बनने की
or a reformer of religion.
या बहुत धार्मिक क्रांति लाने की।
Our reality is we identify with the dust of the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath. That is our everything.
हमारे सत्य पहचान है कि हम रूप रघुनाथ गोस्वामी के चरणों की धूल के कण हैं।
He said, if we have undaunted faith,
उन्होंने कहा कि हमारा अगर अटूट श्रद्धा हो,
then only can we achieve all perfection.
तभी हम परम सिद्धि को प्राप्त कर सकते हैं।
You should all therefore preach with fearlessness
इसलिए आप अभय रूप से
and with utmost energy
और पूरी शक्ति के साथ
the message of Rupa and Raghunath
रूप और रघुनाथ के संदेश का
under the guidance of the followers of Sri Rupa.
उन रूप के जो followers हैं उनके अनुगत होकर।
So these are the final instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura.
तो ये अंतिम निर्देश थे श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर के।
And on this auspicious day,
और आज इस शुभ दिवस पर
on the order and the inspiration of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada,
और श्रील भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद के आदेश और उनकी प्रेरणा के साथ
if we remember these instructions
अगर हम इन निर्देशों को याद रखें
and we try to take them to our heart very seriously,
और इनको अपने हृदय में बहुत गंभीरता से धारण करें
and we preach this movement,
और इस आंदोलन का प्रचार करें,
then definitely we'll get the blessings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
तो निश्चित रूप से हमें श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर का आशीर्वाद प्राप्त होगा।
I wanted to discuss something else with you, very philosophical,
मैं आपके साथ चर्चा करना चाहता था एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण दर्शन,
but I have to ask the police if it's okay.
परंतु मुझे
Okay? Okay. All right. So we also have some slides we wanted to show you, some pictures.
हमारे पास कुछ पिक्चर्स हैं जो आपको दिखाना चाहते हैं।
And this is another topic which we wrote about also in our magazine.
और ये एक अन्य विषय है जिसके बारे में हमने मैगजीन में लिखा है।
And in discussing this topic, it's from some of the last teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
और इस विषय पे जो चर्चा हमने की है भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जो अंतिम शिक्षाएं थी उनके आधार पर की।
By discussing this, I would like to explore some of his amazing teachings.
और इस विषय पे चर्चा करते हुए मैं उनके बहुत अद्भुत शिक्षाओं के बताना चाहूँगा।
So this is a very big subject. I'm going to try to speak about it in a quick way.
ये बहुत बड़ा विषय है, मैं प्रयास करूँगा बहुत संक्षिप्त में इसको बता सकूँ।
And we have some pictures also. Is that possible?
चित्र भी है।
Okay. So we know that in a number of places, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed the devotees, don't walk on Govardhan Hill.
तो हमें पता है कि अन्य स्थानों पर ये श्रील प्रभुपाद के द्वारा निर्देश है कि हम गोवर्धन पर्वत पर ना चलें।
And when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to Braj, he wouldn't walk on Govardhan Hill. When he came to Braj.
जब वो ब्रज आए तो वो चैतन्य महाप्रभु की ये निर्देश था और जब वो मथुरा जा रहे थे तो वो व्यक्तिगत रूप से गोवर्धन पर्वत पर उन्होंने पैर नहीं रखे।
But we have a question.
परंतु हमारे पास
If he wouldn't walk on Govardhan Hill in Braj, why did he walk on Chatak Parvat Govardhan Hill in Jagannath Puri?
तो अगर वो वृंदावन गोवर्धन में अपने पैर उन्होंने नहीं रखे उस पर नहीं चले तो कोई क्या था जगत पर्वत पर क्यों चले?
Now you may say, well, that's not Govardhan Hill.
तो आप कह सकते हो कि वो गोवर्धन पर्वत नहीं है।
But he saw it as Govardhan Hill.
परंतु उन्होंने उनको गोवर्धन के रूप में देखा।
Why did he walk on it?
उस पे उन्होंने क्यों चले?
And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he raised another question. He said, why have I built my Bhajan Kutir on top of that hill?
और श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर एक अन्य प्रश्न उजागर करते हैं कि मैंने अपने भजन कुटीर इस चटक पर्वत पर क्यों बनाई?
He made his Bhajan Kutir on top of the hill.
उन्होंने
And on the bottom of the hill, he installed the deities of Gaur Gadadhar and Vinod Madhav. Why? And why is it, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta asked this question, did Mahaprabhu not, he wouldn't walk on Govardhan Hill? But Madhavendra Puri walked on Govardhan Hill. How do we understand these things? This is a very high topic. But if you want to understand something about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, then you should know he spoke some very high things. And on this auspicious day of his disappearance day, we want to explain something about that part of his heart which is so close to Govardhan Hill.
और इस शुभ निर्वाण दिवस पर हम कुछ प्रकाश डालना चाहेंगे ऐसे विषय पे जो उनके हृदय के बहुत करीब था गोवर्धन पर्वत के बारे में.
So we know from Caitanya Charitamrita,
हम जानते हैं चैतन्य चरितामृत से,
from the Antya-lila chapter 14,
अंत्यलीला अध्याय 14,
that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he was going regularly to the ocean to take bath. How many of you are going to Jagannath Puri with Srila Gopal Krishna Maharaj for yatra? Raise your hand. Highly recommended. We also have a yatra which finishes the day that Maharaj arrives. So, if all of you give your ashirbad, then maybe we can also come and have darshan of Srila Gopal Krishna Maharaj that day. Not far from the temple of Tota Gopinath in Puri, there's a place known to this day as Gora Batsahi. Gora Batsahi.
टोटा गोपीनाथ मंदिर के निकट एक ऐसा स्थान है जो इतना प्रसिद्ध नहीं है.
Batsa means the roadway or the path.
बत्सही इसका अर्थ है एक रास्ता.
And Sahi means a neighborhood.
सही का अर्थ है पड़ोस.
So that's the area where Caitanya Mahaprabhu was walking every day to go take bath in the ocean.
ये वो स्थान है कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु जहाँ पर प्रतिदिन चलते थे समुद्र स्नान के लिए.
And I'll give you a very good tip.
और मैं आपको बहुत अच्छी सलाह दूंगा.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he told the devotees when they came to Jagannath Puri a little secret.
श्रील भक्तिसिद्धांत स्वामी ठाकुर ने जब पुरी आते थे उनको एक रहस्य बताया.
But I'm going to charge you something for this secret. If you don't give me the fee, then you won't get the proper benefit. First the secret and then the fee. Okay. So the secret is, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he told them, go to the beach very early in the morning and chant your japa. I highly recommend you do that. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, because Adyapiha Chaitanya Shabalila Kori Jakone Jahari Kori Jishtiyari Kari. Right now, right today, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's doing all his pastimes. He's going there to the ocean every day and taking bath.
आज भी श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु वहां पर अपनी लीलाएं कर रहे हैं. आज भी महाप्रभु उस समुद्र तट पर जाते हैं, वहां स्नान करते हैं.
And if you go there, you may see him.
और अगर आप वहां जाते हैं तो हो सकता है आप उनके दर्शन प्राप्त करें.
Is that a good secret?
क्या ये अच्छा रहस्य है?
Okay. Okay. Don't clap too soon. Now we have to speak something about our fee. Okay, so I have a very simple fee, no money. I don't need your rupees. But my only fee is if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there at the beach, then you have to say some prayer for this poor rascal Madhavananda. And my good wife, Krishna Kund. That's our only fee that we charge. Very good secret, huh? So please, you go there and maybe you might see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So every day Mahaprabhu was going, every day he is going to that beach to take bath. And one such morning when he took bath there, every day afterwards he would walk to the Jagannath Mandir. One such morning after taking his bath, he was walking. And something happened. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly became mad. And he started running. He saw this big sand dune. And he started running and reciting a verse from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you know this verse, you should recite it with me. Hantaya madhya bala haridasa varyo yad Rama Krishna charanas padasa pramoda manam tanoti sahagogana yustayo yad Pani Yasuya Vasakandara Kandamulai. It's a prayer spoken by the gopis to Govardhan Hill. Actually, Raghunath Das Goswami says, Sri Radhika Vaktra Chandrat, that this verse came from the lotus mouth, the moon-like mouth of Srimati Radharani. The verse glorifies Giriraj Govardhan as the best of devotees. This is a very interesting topic. I'll just say something to tease your minds. I won't give you an answer. You have to think about it. And maybe you can look it up and try to read something about it. All the Brijbasis, they consider Giriraj Govardhan none different from Krishna. But not all the Brijbasis. The gopis have a little different attitude. The gopis, they're the ones who see Giriraj Govardhan as a devotee. So this is a question you should think about. Where did they get that idea from? Where did they get that idea? It's not mentioned. In the Bhagavatam, it says that during the Annakut festival, Krishna manifested a great form and said, I'm non-different from Govardhan. Where does this Giriraj as a devotee come from? We also wrote a very long article about that in this magazine. Anyway, so I won't tell you the answer to that because it would take a long time. And it's also a very high subject. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became mad. He started running and chanting this verse. And then he fell down on the ground unconscious. And when the devotees arrived, they started crying. They were fanning Mahaprabhu's body. Govinda, Mahaprabhu's servant, was sprinkling water from Mahaprabhu's kamandalu on him. But Mahaprabhu wasn't regaining external consciousness. And then all of the devotees, many devotees were there. All together they very loudly began to chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can we go to the pictures? So, Can you see that very well? You can't make it bigger? So go to the first picture. We're starting to begin. So this is Govardhan Hill, just near the Nishinga Mandir. Govardhan Hill in Vrindavan. And go down. Just down. Next. And this is Chatak Parvat in Puri. The hill that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw as Govardhan. Next. There's a few pictures of it. These photos were taken behind the temple of Tota Gopinath. It's one of the few places you can find some peace and quiet in Jagannath Puri today. Go back. So Mahaprabhu, when he saw that hill, he began running. Next picture. And previous one. He fell down unconscious. And at that time all the devotees began chanting. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had 3 different types of consciousness in Jagannath Puri. One was bhaya, or external. And he would see the devotees and say, "Hey, Swarup Damodar, how are you doing?" Another was antar, very internal, when he was unconscious. And another was kind of madhya, in between the two. So at that time when the devotees chanted, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly opened his eyes. And he was looking around. And he was very confused. And he saw the devotees. And he said, "Where did you bring me?" He said, "I was at Govardhan Hill. And I saw Radha and Krishna." Now, dear devotees, think about it. 500 years ago, how did Radha and Krishna manifest? Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. They manifested in the form of Mahaprabhu. Now Mahaprabhu sees Radha and Krishna. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhakta Roop. He's come in the mood of a devotee to taste something he never got to have before. It's kind of like if you have a 16-year-old Guru Kuli and you give him the keys to Govinda's restaurant. Oh, he's going to have a very good day, huh? He'll go in and eat everything. Huh? So that's like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now he's come in the mood of a devotee. And there's a, I don't know what you say in Hindi, but in English you say there's a smorgasbord, a huge feast. Now he can taste the mood of so many devotees. Sometimes he was in the mood of Dhruva Maharaj. Sometimes he was in the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. Sometimes he was in the mood of the gopis. Sometimes in the mood of Radha. Sometimes he was in the mood of the queens in Dwarka. He tasted the mood of so many different devotees. But on this day there was something a little different. And if you can wait for about 2 or 3 minutes, I'll tell you about that. Do some kirtan, just for a couple minutes, Prabhuji. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he walked on that Chatak Parvat. He fell unconscious there. And when the devotees brought him back to external consciousness with kirtan, like you're all doing, he asked them, what did you do? What did you bring me? I was at Govardhan Hill. He said that Mahaprabhu at that time he began to cry. He said that Radha lana Krishna praveshila kandarete sakigana kahi more fulla utaite. He said, I was there on Govardhan Hill and I saw Radha and Krishna enter a cave. Okay, so what mood is Caitanya Mahaprabhu in? He's not in the mood of Radha. He's not in the mood of Krishna. Huh? He said that I saw Radha and Krishna in a cave. And at that time, Sakigana kohe more fulla utaite. Some gopis, they came and they asked me to assist them. And Mahaprabhu said I was doing service, I was picking flowers and helping them to make garlands. So this is a very interesting pastime. I'd like to read you a little something from Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakura. This is from an article that was published in Sajjana Toshni in Bengali. And it's clear from the article that it was written not by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta but by some other devotee. But it's also clear in the article that they're quoting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta quite a lot. So this is a very esoteric thing. I'd like to show you, my purpose in discussing this right now is to try to help show you a little window into the heart of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Page 81. 81. The mood of service. When you go down a little bit. So he says there that for some devotees, you'll see the paragraph starts to worship Sri Krishna. For some devotees, Kamalanayana, the lotus-eyed Lord Jagannath, is residing at the seashore. Kamalanayana. He says, for Gaudiya devotees, they see Jagannath as a deity of Sambandha or Madan Mohan. Right? So to this day, Madan Mohan is the Vijay Vigraha or Utsav Vigraha, the festival deity of Jagannath in Puri. He said on the other side of Chatak Parvat, he's manifested in the form of Prayojan, the goal, as Tota Gopinath. And then he said, in the temple of Srimati Radharani, Radharani has a temple at Chatak Parvat. He will appear as the deity of Abhideya or Lord Govinda. And he says the maidservants of Sri Radha, in order to receive the service of Radharani, and to enhance the pleasure of union between Radha and Govinda, those maidservants always reside with the divine couple.
जितनी भी सेविकाएं हैं उनकी सेवा प्राप्त करने के लिए उनके और गोविंद राधा गोविंद की सेवा प्राप्त करने के लिए उसी जगह पर निवास करते हैं.
Group of devotees.
ये एक प्रकार का समूह है.
Second group of devotees is there.
दूसरे भक्तों का जो समूह है,
These are the ones that have the attitude of Acharya Abhiman,
इनका जो दृष्टिकोण होता है वो होता है आचार्य अभिमान,
which also can be known as Acharya Das Abhiman, or servant of the Acharyas.
जिनको आचार्य दास अभिमान या आचार्यों के दास का दृष्टिकोण.
This is a little philosophical. Just fasten your safety belt, you'll survive.
थोड़ा सा ये दार्शनिक है, अपना सेफ्टी बेल्ट बांधे और आप बच जाएं.
This is the conception of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, which is very amazing.
तो ये श्रील भक्तिसिद्धांत ठाकुर का दृष्टिकोण है, बहुत अद्भुत है.
The consideration or mood of the Bhajan Kori devotees is Ami Doyara Prarti. I am a candidate for mercy.
तो भजन कोरी जो समूह है, ऐसे भक्तों का भाव होता है कि मुझे कृपा की बहुत आवश्यकता है.
Okay, that's their mood. It's one group of devotees.
भाव होता है.
What is the mood of the other group of devotees?
जो अन्य भक्तों का समूह उनका भाव क्या होता है?
The consideration of the Acharya Das Abhiman, those persons who consider themselves servants of the Acharyas,
जो अपने आप आचार्य के दास समझते हैं,
is Ami Jibe Doya Koriya Bhagavanera Pritividan Koriba. I'll please the Lord by being compassionate to other living entities.
मैं भगवान को प्रसन्न करूंगा अन्य जीवात्माओं के प्रति करुणा करके.
So this is a very deep, subtle thing.
तो ये बहुत ही गहरी.
He says both of these considerations are meant to please the senses of Krishna.
दोनों की दृष्टिकोण का उद्देश्य कृष्ण की इंद्रियों को संतुष्ट करना.
But one is predominated with the mood of Madhurja Bhav, or the mood of sweetness.
परंतु एक में जो माधुर्य भाव की प्रधानता है,
And the other is imbued with Odarja Bhav, the mood of kindness and mercy.
और दूसरे में औदार्य भाव की प्रधानता है.
And then he said something I had to really think about when I read.
और फिर उन्होंने कहा, इसके बारे में मुझे बहुत सोचना पड़ा जब मैंने इसको पढ़ा.
He said that Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, their Vishai Vigraha.
उन्होंने कहा कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु, श्रील रूप और सनातन गोस्वामी
Vishai Vigraha. How do you know what Vishai Vigraha means?
उनको विषय विग्रह के रूप में.
Priti Vishai means the object of love.
विषय विग्रह का अर्थ है जो प्रेम के ऑब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ प्रेम के विषय.
So here he's saying that Rupa and Sanatana Goswami and Caitanya Mahaprabhu, their Vishai Vigraha,
यहाँ पे वो कह रहे हैं कि श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु रूप और सनातन गोस्वामी विषय विग्रह हैं.
I've never ever heard that anywhere before.
मैंने इससे पहले इसके बारे में कहीं नहीं सुना.
Their Vishai Vigraha for us.
कि वो विषय विग्रह है हमारे लिए.
There are worshipable deities.
ये आराधनीय विग्रह हैं. इनकी आराधना करनी चाहिए.
But they were in the mood of Ashraya Vigraha, the abodes of love.
परंतु वो आश्रय विग्रह के भाव में थे.
Go back.
का जो स्थान.
What happened to the pictures? So we can go down. Let's see what's next. Next. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. This is his Bhajan Kuta on top of the hill. Keep going. This is his bed. These are the deities of Shri Shri Vinod Madhav and Shri Shri Gaur-Gadadhar that he established. I could tell you some stories about these deities. Go to the next picture and the next one. This is Gaur-Gadadhar. Stop there for a minute. So, I'll just keep reading a little something. He said that Madhavendra Puri, he said that Mahaprabhu, Rupa and Sanatan, they wouldn't walk on Govardhan Hill.
तो महाप्रभु रूप और सनातन वे गोवर्धन पर्वत पर नहीं चढ़ते.
But Madhavendra Puri, he walked on Govardhan Hill.
परंतु श्री माधवेंद्र पुरी वो गोवर्धन पर्वत पर.
We can go down actually a few. Let's see. Yeah, here's Madhavendra Puri. And you can go to the next picture. These are some very rare photos. There's about 4 or 5 of them. You can just go slowly through them. These are photos of the original temple of Gopal on top of Govardhan Hill.
ये गोपाल जी का जो उस समय का जो मंदिर था उसके कुछ दुर्लभ चित्र हैं.
This temple was built by Madhavendra Puri.
ये मंदिर का निर्माण माधवेंद्र पुरी द्वारा किया गया.
He definitely walked on Govardhan Hill.
निश्चित रूप से वो गोवर्धन पर्वत पर.
Go to the next picture. Okay, we'll stop here. This is the Anukut festival one year in the Bagh Bazaar temple in Kolkata. Not a very good photo, but... He said that Srila Madhavendra Puri, although Mahaprabhu and Rupan Sanatan wouldn't walk on Govardhan Hill, Madhavendra Puri, in the mood of an Acharya, he walked on Govardhan Hill.
सनातन गोस्वामी महाप्रभु ये गोवर्धन पर्वत पर नहीं चढ़े थे, परंतु माधवेंद्र पुरी आचार्य के भाव में गोवर्धन पे चढ़े थे.
He did that in order to follow Gopal's order to render services to Gopal.
और ऐसा उन्होंने इसलिए किया क्योंकि गोपाल जी का जो निर्देश था उसको पूरा करने के लिए और उनकी सेवा करने के लिए.
He said similarly here on Chatak Parvat, we've established a temple for the predecessor acharyas.
उसी प्रकार से चटक पर्वत पर पूर्ववर्ती आचार्यों का मंदिर स्थापित किया गया.
And the current acharyas and their assistants, they walk on that Chatak Parvat.
और जो वर्तमान आचार्य हैं और उनके जो सेवक हैं वो भी इसी भाव में जो पूर्ववर्ती आचार्य का
In the mood of being servant, sevak.
सेवक भाव में करते हैं. चटक पर्वत.
So, on the 17th of April 1936, while he was speaking about this, the same year he left, he said that Radha Kund is very close to Govardhan. And he said, we come here to Chatak Parvat to get inspiration by remembering Radha Kund. And he said to the devotees that it's higher to worship the devotees than it is to worship Krishna. And he said the temple of Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost form of Ashraya Vigraha, that temple will be built on the highest part of Chatak Parvat. And Sri Varshabhanavi Radharani will reside there with her dear associates. Go back. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he told them that on top of the hill, stop, you install deities of Madhvacharya and Srila Vyasadeva. These are the two deities. These are in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's Bhajan Kutir there. Because this is the place of service. And in particular, what kind of service? Go ahead now, son. I'll tell you when. Back to where we left off, at least. Okay. What kind of service? The service of assisting the acharyas by giving mercy to others. So it was there in Chatak Parvat that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote this letter to our Srila Prabhupada. Go to the next picture. And here is a picture from, I don't remember the year of this. This was at the earliest 1937, maybe 1938 or 1939. The devotees had gone to Mumbai to greet Ban Maharaj and the devotees who'd gone to England to preach.
So 1937, 38, 39, exact date याद नहीं. तो उस समय भक्त मुंबई गए थे बॉन महाराज को स्वागत करने के लिए जो इंग्लैंड से आए थे प्रचार करके.
And in Photoshop, I made a red circle around the face of one Grihastha devotee.
तो मैंने ये फोटोशॉप करके रेड सर्कल बनाया एक गृहस्थ भक्त के.
This is our Srila Prabhupada with a very handsome mustache. Doesn't mean the brahmachari should have mustaches. So this is what Prabhupada must have looked like when he got this letter from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And you can go to the next picture. So this is that first edition of Back to Godhead magazine, which Prabhupada printed in 1952. And the first words that he put in it were these last instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, he gave this instruction to Prabhupada there at Chatak Parvat, which is the place of service to our Acharyas. And Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went there, he was in the mood of service. He was in the mood of a maidservant to the gopis. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that mood of service is even higher. It's higher than the mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had in Vrindavan even. And he said, therefore, in this place we're going to make a temple on top of the hill to Srimati Radharani. I don't know. Did they ever make a temple? I spoke to some of the older members of the temple. They don't know anything about this. But just maybe that temple is the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, where he established deities of Vyasadeva and Madhvacharya, a place where we serve the Acharyas by preaching. And below, down below the hill, is a place of Radha and Krishna. So this Chatak Parvat is a place of preaching. It's a place where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote his last instructions to our Srila Prabhupada. And he told Srila Prabhupada, you go and preach. He said, this will be good for you. And go to the next picture. And it'll be good for the people who assist you. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki, Sri Chatak Parvat ki, Sri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaurahari ki, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo, Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So thank you all very much. I hope this wasn't too confusing for all of you. We wanted to share something a little different with you today, trying to understand something of the very amazing heart of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That heart is there at Chatak Parvat. That heart means preaching. And we know who is in the heart of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Our Srila Prabhupada. And if we assist Srila Prabhupada, then we can also enter into that heart. And we can also become maid servants of the gopis. And we'll stop there.